Good morning, members of Thresholds. This is the last part of our coffee talk for today, April 2nd. And since we talked about sleep hygiene yesterday and how to develop healthy sleep habits, I thought about today ways to motivate ourselves once we are up and doing our daily activities. How do we stay self-motivated? How do we stay productive during the day through this crisis? And I came across a website. I've used this website before. It's called goodtherapy.org. And they have a blog, which is like a log or a journal of things. And this article was published on May 5th, 2016, but it still applies today. It's called 11 Ways to Stay Productive During Times of Personal Crisis. So this is a personal crisis we're dealing with. It's a national crisis. But we can still find ways to be productive, and that's what this article is saying. So I'm just going to read a little bits and pieces from it, just take excerpts, if that's okay. It says, by nature, humans are emotional creatures. When things are going well, you are likely to experience positive emotions that often lead to increased motivation and productivity. However, in times of hardship or stress, it can be challenging to leave negative feelings at home and keep them from impacting your work. Whether you work in an office or from home, staying productive in times of personal crisis is no easy task. When a loved one is diagnosed with an illness, a pet passes away, or your partner loses a job, the added stress, grief, or anxiety can be distracting and sometimes even debilitating. At some point, you may face a time when life stressors come up, and you may not be able to put your professional life on hold. Here are 11 tips to help you stay focused and remain productive in a time of personal crisis. So here's the first tip. It says, adjust your schedule. Now, I know a lot of mental health professionals are advising us to try and keep a routine as much as possible, but they're also suggesting trying new things, trying a new routine that we haven't looked at before. I think what this first one, adjusting your schedule, is saying is just remember to be flexible during this time. Because we're going to have to accommodate personal matters, as it says. Time management is key to maintaining your professional life when your personal life requires more attention than usual. So if you keep a daily schedule, take a look at it and see how you can adapt it. It says in medical situations, you may need to attend health appointments in the mornings and work later in the afternoon, or vice versa. So again, just taking a break can help you reset and prevent emotional overwhelm. Try to be flexible again. Number 2, practice self-compassion. That is very important. Be gentle with yourself. We talked about being gentle in the daily meditation the other day. Don't beat yourself up if not performing as well as you think you should. Remember, you are human. If you're grieving the loss of a loved one, anxious about a medical diagnosis, or stressed about some other personal matter, allow yourself to recognize your emotions as a normal part of experience. Because let's face it, guys, we're all going through this together. This national crisis, this virus, we are connected in that way. And we can find some normalcy in that. So also, we want to embrace difficult emotions rather than suppressing them. Just acknowledge them. Doesn't mean dwell on them or really get down on them, but a lady named Amy Armstrong, a licensed practical counselor, she suggests embracing difficult emotions. It's tempting to tamp down those unpleasant feelings and hide them, but this usually just increases your stress levels. She said, confide in friends you trust. Get professional or peer support if you are comfortable with that. Go for a run. Have a good cry. And most importantly, feel what you need to feel and let it out. She says, I'm not advising anyone to freely cry at their desk because that can be problematic in other ways, but it's important to own your feelings and give yourself an outlet. The third thing is share with discernment. Okay, now this is applying to work. A lot of these tips are work related, but it's also things we can apply in our daily lives too. So share with discernment. When times are tough, talking about your situation can provide you with support and help you process your emotions. However, it's important to use discernment when sharing personal details. So discernment kind of means like filtering things, just really thinking about things before we share something. That's how I take it. Depending on your situation, you might be obligated to share some information with your supervisor, but you may want to be more cautious when sharing information with coworkers. And it could also impact the relationship with your personal situation by sharing some things. The fourth tip is practice living in the moment. I cannot stress this enough, the importance of meditation and mindfulness. It's important when times are going really well, but it's also equally and more so important when we're dealing with times of stress and crisis. These practices can help you embrace the moment and find feelings of inner peace and acceptance, even during the hardest times. By practicing being present, you can prevent yourself from ruminating about your problems, dwelling on the past, or worrying about the future. A daily meditation practice can help you remain mindful and present at work and help you stay focused on the task at hand. There's so many great YouTube videos out there that encourage meditation. I really would like to see more of that with our members. Just give it a try. It's not like some Far Eastern guru type of far out thing. It's something that's very practical. Let's see. The fifth tip is use your support system. That's very important too. Sometimes it can be tough to ask for help from others, even when it's needed the most. If you are dealing with a crisis, it can be very difficult to stay productive without a solid support system. Seek out the people in your life who you can count on during times of hardship and reach out to them. Perhaps you need someone to take your child to school, prepare meals, clean the house, or just to listen to you. And I want to emphasize that last phrase, listening. It's such a powerful skill, it's such a powerful ability to listen to people. It gives the other person the opportunity to share without judgment, and I encourage you to do that. Listen without judgment. If you try to maintain everything on your own, you're more likely to experience emotional overwhelm, which will not only increase your stress, but it can wind up making you less productive in the long run. So number 6 on this list of tips, prioritize and delegate. So if we're working at home or if we're trying to work on a task, a big task, we want to prioritize the important things first, and recognize the potential it'll likely lower during times of crisis. So make the best use of the productivity you have by prioritizing your tasks, creating to-do lists, and prioritize the most important task first. I'm a big supporter of this. I like to make lists. I do it a lot. Prioritize each one. And believe me, it has helped me tremendously. And I think it'll help a lot of people out there too. Delegating tasks to others can also be helpful. Look to your coworkers for assistance when possible, rather than trying to conquer everything on your own. And if you're at home, instead of your coworkers, you could say your friends. If you need help, ask for assistance. And finally, 2 more things. Oh wait, there's 11 things. Sorry, I got to get through this. Okay. So we're at 7. Practicing self-care. I'll share about that. Self-care is very important. Thresholds is a big supporter of self-care among workers, but even we encourage our members as well. It says when you're under a large amount of stress, it can be easy to forget about the importance of taking care of yourself. In times of crisis, people tend to be more vulnerable, and self-care may be more important than ever. Do your best to take good care of yourself. Remember to eat healthy foods, exercise, and take time to rest. Number 8, acknowledge difficult days. We may have a whole day where we just feel down during this crisis, or we're really struggling. We may have all these emotions. You're allowed to feel emotions. Some days will be more difficult than others. There may be days when you don't have the strength to get out of bed, and that's okay. Don't don't put yourself on a guilt trip or feel bad. Even when you're trying so hard to focus on what's important, some tasks may slip your mind, and that's okay. Then we got number 9, choosing positive coping skills. A lot of members out there have been in groups where we talk about coping skills, healthy things, healthy habits. It says here, stress often makes it easier to reach for a vice. Vice meaning like a bad habit. Whether it's smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, overspending, gambling, or some other addictive habit, everyone has weaknesses. These may relieve some stressful feelings immediately, but they usually wind up making things worse and increasing stress over time. Rather than engaging in a bad habit, use positive coping mechanisms to deal with your stress. These might include spending time with loved ones, exercising, eating healthy and delicious meal, napping, meditating, trying a new hobby, or working on a creative hobby. Number 10, this is for people who work. Take some time off. Don't be afraid if you work to take some time off. As much as you might want to be productive, sometimes it's necessary to take some time off to heal. If things get too challenging to maintain, use some of your vacation or sick days and take some time away from work. Armstrong, the writer of this, advocates for a combination of an improved self-care routine, increased exercise, and therapy. She suggests people do an honest self-assessment on how they're coping with everything. And finally, last but not least, on this list, see a therapist or attend a support group. I hope all of our members are being consistent with seeing their therapist, their counselor, and support worker. But there's also support groups available out there. There's probably hundreds of them that are available online. You don't have to go to physical meetings. It says therapists and counselors play an important role in helping people cope with the crisis. Psychotherapy can help individuals assess their situation and create positive coping skills to manage their stress. So something about support groups, this is the last thing I'll share. There's a great website called In the Rooms. If you just Google it, search for it, it'll have all these online meetings you can go to by various topics, 12-step meetings. It's a great resource, so check it out. That's all I got for today, members. Be safe and be well.